Good afternoon and happy Friday to everyone. We are here at Stitched Head and Heart Project's office. My name is Hallock and I am the owner and operator of Stitched Head and Heart. I am also a consulting hypnotist, as you guys know, and a PSYCH-K facilitator. So, we had last week a donation for the Dakota Access Pipeline, the protest against it. So I just want to thank everybody for their donations. And it kind of simultaneously lines up with what we have this week, next week, and the following. So previously we did the art of receiving and the importance of receiving. We broke that all down into 4 components, and it was really in depth from like a how-to perspective, right? Okay, so more of a manual, how do we do this, how do we identify, how do we adjust, and all of these different things. Where is our coping and is it healthy? So in contrast to that, and on the other side of that spectrum, we are now going to do the arts of giving, and we spoke to saying that our 3-part series will be good, gracious giving, and that the first component is going to be, again, being mindful. But this is more from like a thought process rather than a how-to or what to do. You already have those tools, just reverse them from the last 4 weeks. You already know how to identify and adjust and so on and so forth. So we're going to talk more about theory when we talk about giving, and some of the components that allow us to just understand it from a more in-depth, intuitive, and soulful nature. So in being mindful of what you are giving, what I want you to look at there and what kind of came to me was the importance of understanding the ebb and flow of energy, right? So it seems very simple, but I'd like to really illuminate it for everybody, the way that I've perceived it and seen it work in such a fantastic fashion over time. So we discussed the importance of receiving and making sure our cup's full and everything else. So with energy and because that's really what money is, or what contracts are, or what relationships are, business, intimate, parenting, otherwise, right? It is all energy. We both put forth something, and we, pray we get something back, right? So with the giving portion of it and being mindful of the ebb and flow, I want you to kind of see this from a visual standpoint. So we say, okay, I have something to give, so I'm going to give, right? So here's the thing, here's my energy that goes to you, right? So, and we talked about how it being important that we're not just constantly pouring and pouring and pouring and never filling the cup. So a lot of people have a difficult time in that giving process. The reason why is the risk is there more largely than I would say from a receiving standpoint. Sometimes we give and we don't get back. We don't get anything back. And sometimes that's going to happen. And so the more often that happens, the more mistrusting we are concerning our ability to give. I've spoken with several clients this week and kind of spoke to their thoughts concerning giving and receiving and so on and so forth, whether that be under any of the paradigms that I just explained, business, contracts, family, marriage, all of these variety of different tenets, talking specific to how do you give, how do you receive, how do you create healthy boundaries. And what I kind of came up and got was that the ability, believe it or not, to give is in fact a little bit more difficult than it is to receive. Now that would throw me for a loop, my idealism normally, but psychologically it makes sense because we are Darwinian and we're all trying to survive, and we're all here just trying to trying to make it. But there's also this altruistic nature that we have inside of us, and this biology in our beings, that we want to be community beings. We want to be in relationship. We want to be in contract. We want to exchange, right? So I just wanted to illuminate some of the things that happen in that. When we give, we want to give with some element of expectation, right? But be very cautious about what the expectation is. If you couldn't give it without getting, without getting anything back, right? My mother taught me this a long time ago. I used to get very, very disappointed by my ability to be so giving and then get nothing back. And then I would feel like a martyr, and I would feel mad, and I would feel like, well, that's so incredibly unfair that person doesn't understand. So that's ego. You're getting in your ego. Like, I've given so much, and the minute that you go into that, you do not have the resources to give. You are doing it for the wrong reasons, okay? You don't have the resources. Make that clear to yourself. I don't have it. I'm becoming a martyr. This is cue. I'm not getting, I'm not full enough, right? I haven't received enough. I haven't honored myself enough and filled my own tank, or had other people fill my tank. But being mindful of it is noticing when you do give things, not putting those contingencies on to that specific person or that specific endeavor and thinking you're going to get something back there, but being mindful of where you're getting it out elsewhere. Sometimes the blessing goes straight through you to another person, and it came from a different resource, right? So we want to be mindful of our ability to really have an attitude of gratitude, and our expectations are that yes, we will in fact receive something back. There will be some energy exchange, but it may not be exactly the way that you thought it was going to be. Okay, so that's what I mean with the ebb and flow. And to be mindful of, if you are in a situation where you are feeling resentful or feeling contempt, that you are responsible for the contingencies and the conditions that you put on that it's a price tag that you put on putting your gift forward. In a more healthy fashion, we do expect it to come back, but it may not come back the way that you want it to come back. And you need to be very mindful and a good steward of what's coming in and going out on a regular basis. So it may not be this for that, right? And the expectation of what's coming back shouldn't be so specific as to what and who, but just that we're noticing in our environment, in our world, there's still stuff coming in. So what happens if we stop? Right? We get bitter, we get frustrated, our tank isn't full, we're not receiving enough. What happens if we just stop giving? So what happens there is that we're still receiving, right? There's still energy coming in, there's still resources that are being made available to us, and we've been burned too many times. Question yourself why you've been burned. Have you been burned because you're pouring out of a empty cup? Or are you in fact putting yourself in a position where you've already designed what should be coming back and it doesn't line up? Okay, so those are faulty expectations and those are contingencies. Don't set yourself up for failure if you're going to give. So if you give or if you receive and you receive and you receive, sorry, I apologize, and you do nothing with that, we have an overflow. Okay, so overflow is not bad, right, Haley? I like more money, more healthy relationships, more, right? We're consumers, westernized thinking. But the truth is that energy becomes stagnant, right? And when something is stagnant, there's oftentimes a mindset about that thing that it creates a mindset around the thing that really doesn't have that much value. It creates a mindset of fear and a mindset of needing to in fact covet this thing, and that it gives it more power than it actually has. So as you give it that power, you are in fact defeating your ability to ever be able to step out and go ahead and give, because you're making it bigger than it is, I guess. So stagnant energy is never good. And also, if it's coming in and it becomes stagnant and it's this big, huge deal and it has all of this power, it defeats our relationships, our intent, all of these variety of things, because the truth is, you don't get to take any of it with you. So that's what I was going to say, more of a thought exercise. Where are you at? Identify whether or not you're putting yourself in a position where you're putting contingencies on or conditions on your giving, and understand when you don't have it. You just don't have the resources. You don't have the emotional energy. You don't have the financial. It's okay to say, I literally can't give. But don't. Okay, so be mindful of those two things, but don't put yourself in a situation where you're guilting yourself into giving and then becoming a martyr, because you're yucky on the other side of that too. Nobody wants to deal with a martyr. Nobody. So, and you don't want to feel like one either. So I think that's it for today. So that was just becoming mindful of the ebb and flow, and a couple of illustrations and maybe a couple of introspection exercises for you to kind of ask yourself, am I giving out of an empty tank? Am I being a martyr? Or am I just don't have the resources, and that's okay. I will eventually, and I will be more than happy to give. So ebb and flow of energy. I wish you guys an awesome weekend. Have fun, and do your best to be conscious of your giving and receiving, and the ebb and flow of that. And we will look forward to working next week on being intentional with your giving. So with that, we'll probably go into kind of the expectations that I just explained, right? And we'll go further details for that. So wishing you all the blessings in the world, and I will see you next week.